I don't know if you said it here, but you talked about it now being kind of a big roulette. When we've spoken before, Kate, you talked about it being a roulette now. What happens to these people? Carlos?
Look, I was just before we started the streaming, I was talking with Maria about this great story that was published in the New York Times Sunday magazine some 3 or 4 weeks ago about Salvadorans in the limbo that are under the temporary protection status, and they don't know what's going to happen with them. But the story traces the historical immigration of Central Americans since the 80s. And it talks about a very peculiar thing that I was not aware of. During the 80s, hundreds of thousands of Salvadorans were running away from the civil war, from the conflict that we had here. They applied for refugee status or asylum, I can't remember, in the United States. And they were all neglected for a very logical reason. If the United States acknowledged their situation, it meant acknowledging that they were escaping from a bad regime. And the United States was funding this regime, so they couldn't acknowledge that. So how did these people survive? Thanks to the solidarity of hundreds and thousands of organizations and churches in the United States, which is the other side of the coin, which has always been the other side of the coin. There's always been in the United States groups that have expressed a lot of solidarity with people less lucky than them, and that acknowledge the power and the role and the influence of the United States. And they managed to keep hundreds of thousands of Salvadoran refugees in the United States in the 80s. I don't think the situation is that different right now, at least in terms of who is being recognized as a person that deserves protection and is not getting it. And a lot of United States citizens or church groups that are helping these migrants to survive on these very tough conditions.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
Maria.
Carlos, I just think that in the 80s, you had the national media, which now, is, so expansive, but every single news network, had, for a certain period of time, journalists based in San Salvador. And so the war in El Salvador was something that this country, at least back then, they had a sense about. And therefore there was, the Committee to Protect the People of El Salvador, the Committee in Solidarity, there was more of an awareness. Sadly, I feel like there's just a total erasure now, and that there even less awareness. And so therefore, yes, there will be this solidarity, very, human to human, that we see in whether it's here in New York but that the general awareness that this is like something that, like the way I was on my college campus organizing, to defend Salvadoran immigrants I think it's a different conversation now.
But then I have only one reply to what you just said, Maria. Take that plane to San Salvador.
Te voy a ver. O sea, no. That's the thing is that I have to go. And so you and I will be seeing each other, and I cannot wait to eat some pupusas. Oh my God.
Oh yes, I'll host you. I'll be glad to do that. But let me add you something quickly. You're right in that sense, Maria. Also during the 80s, the press here was under a lot of censorship and a lot of pressure. So if it wasn't for a brilliant generation of foreign journalists, most of them from the United States, the real story of what was happening here had not been known to anyone. That, of course, has, I would like to believe it has changed, because there's media like El Faro, where I work, that are doing some work. But someone was asking about censorship. So I'm always reluctant to accept to be made the story when the story is outside and it's not us. But let me just tell you this, and I'm not exaggerating. During all these years that we've been making investigative reporting on several things, war crimes, drug trafficking, gangs, we've received many threats. We have never been under such heat as we are today. I'm not exaggerating when I'm telling you I'm expecting at any moment that they come for me. The president has gone on national television accusing us of money laundering. We are under 4 audits, one of them accusing us of deliberately evading taxes at a moment when the president and his circle controls all the branches of the state and also the judiciary. They have appointed their own attorney general. And so this is what I meant when I said we have lost all our constitutional guarantees. And he blames us, among others, for his misreputation. He blames us for yesterday's publication of a list of corrupt Salvadoran officers, because it's, I'm not saying it's based on our reporting, but all those names are people that we've been reporting on their roles in corruption for all these months. And so when you combine these two things, I'm telling you, they are doing everything in their power to indict us with a criminal case. This could happen at any moment. And right now, since we don't have the protection of the rule of law anymore, our only protection is a political protection, is governments and civil society telling them, letting them know, this is a line you cannot cross. That's the only protection we have right now. So this has changed a lot in 2 years. This didn't happen before. And I'm sorry, because again, I'm always reluctant to become the story. I'll stop there.
If I could just
oh, go ahead.
jump in for just a second to really express gratitude for what Carlos and his team are doing in El Salvador, and to let anyone watching know, if you're not aware, that they do a newsletter in English every week that you can sign up for. And so until Maria is able to get on the plane and go, you can still get your news about what's happening there. You know, and like, I can read the news in Spanish, but I'm so much faster reading in English. And so to be able to do my job and keep up with things, I'm particularly grateful for that newsletter. So thank you, Carlos.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias, Kate. Muchas gracias. Please join Maria on her trip to San Salvador.
I'll go. But it is important that international organizations like the OPC, like CPJ, like the Cabot Board, you know, that we support El Faro right now, because they really are under unprecedented pressure from a, you know, legitimate government, which is something that, as Carlos says, has not happened. And it's very disturbing, and has great repercussions.
Well, I'm afraid maybe on that sober note, it's probably time to wrap things up. I would like to thank all of you for a very interesting conversation, and very, very frustrating to hear some of the comments. But so thank you very, very much, Carlos and Maria, Kate, and Tracy. Thank you so much for all the organization you did, and sorry for your local Wi-Fi outage. But you persevered and got on. So okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Great job.
Thank you very much.